Thanks, Igny. You've already met Ron Nordstrom, who was just on the previous presidential talk. But Ron is a retired school teacher, taught in northern and southern Manitoba. He and his wife Diane moved to Neepawa in 1999 for teaching positions. Ron, after his retirement in 2015, he joined Rotary, and he right off the hop, he was one of the vocational training team members that went to Guatemala on a teacher exchange in 2017. As you know, he's our past president and currently our public image chair of our club. And he also serves on the district public image team and is involved in the production of the public image newsletter, as well as the district governor's newsletter. So he's another one of our members who's got very, very active and involved in Rotary and all the other things that go with it. So please welcome Ron Nordstrom.
Thank you, Bob, and good morning again, everyone. It's so great that you're joining us. We've got about almost 70 people here joining us on in Manitoba, in Neepawa right now. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's warm out, and probably there's other things that you might like to do other than sit and stare at a screen. I know that we're all dying to get outside and do something, but you know, COVID has made things so much more difficult. So I went to the store just yesterday, and you know, I'm in the produce department, and I've got one of those plastic bags to put my produce in, and I am trying to get it open. I go to lick my fingers, and I lick the inside of my mask, and that doesn't do anything. And so I eventually, after 20 minutes of trying to open the silly thing, I went over to where they spray the water on the vegetables, and I noticed there were some vegetables that were wet. And so I looked around from side to side to see if anyone was looking. And when no one was looking, I wet my fingers on some broccoli, a bunch of broccoli. Is it called a bunch or a head of broccoli, or it's a murder of crows, a murder of broccoli? I touched a murder of broccoli just to get my hands wet so I could open that paper bag. And thanks a lot, COVID, for making me feel like a criminal for touching broccoli in a store. So anyways, with that, I'm glad you're here, everyone. And I'm going to share my screen. I hope I'm allowed to. Let's just check it out. I believe I am. Good for me. Okay. All right. Let's make a few adjustments on my screen so I can see things. So this is a workshop on public image, and it's by me, this guy, Ron Nordstrom, right here. So take a look at this. This actually is a poster that our club used shortly after I became the public image person in our club. We had a This Close campaign. And so we decided to use our own club members on This Close posters. So we took pictures of our own club members, put them each on a single poster, put those posters up around town, and we thought it was a great way to improve our public image. Did a couple of things. It made people aware of Rotary in our community. It made people aware of the ending polio cause. And it certainly made people aware of who in the community was involved in a Rotary. So that's one of the first things that we did. So, I gotta hang on here. All right, so when they approached the Public Image Committee and said, we need someone to do a workshop, they said they needed someone responsible. And I volunteered because, you know, in every job I've ever had, whenever something goes wrong, I'm always the one responsible. So I'm so glad to be delivering this morning. But I'm going to warn you, I am not an expert. I don't have any training in public image or media relations or anything like that. It's the fake it till you make it kind of thing. And I'm going to be waving the stick around a lot here and wait for the music to stop. And then possibly I'll have a chance to turn around and bow. But, you know, I guess an expert can be defined by someone who lives far, far away. So for those of you in Neepawa, I'm probably not much of an expert. For some others, I just may be an expert. You never know. But today's topic is public image. Probably in your Rotary Club, you have somebody in charge of public relations or possibly public image. And I think when we came out with the public image newsletter, I think a lot of people were confused, like public image, what is that? We have a public relations person. Do we also need a public image person? They weren't sure what it was. And just so that you know, there's a difference between public image and public relations. Public image is what people actually think of you and your organization. Public relations is how you get them thinking that way. So the process of building that positive image of your organization. Actually, I'm hoping you can all see my slides. If you can't, somebody get on and tell me, because I can't see any of you. I've got that part minimized.
We can see them, Ron.
Super. Thank you so much, Gail Marie. Okay, so there's a difference. So what is the public image of your club? Is it those old guys who go and have lunch on Wednesdays over at the local restaurant? Or is it those dynamic mix of people who do those amazing things in our community to help keep our community a vibrant place to live? By the way, it can be those old guys that make our community a vibrant place to live, but it's much better if it's a mixed group of people. And yeah, but how do people think of your club? And one of the things that I saw looking through one of the recent issues of the Rotary magazine was this article here on this urgent care specialist, this medical surgical person. And I thought the ultimate public image goal is if you're a Rotarian, then you're a good human. And I looked at this, and just take a look at the part that I've circled here. From somebody who couldn't speak their language, all they saw was the Rotary bracelet on their wrist. And from that, the symbol made them recognize what kind of human I must be. So to me, that's the ultimate goal in public image. If you're a Rotarian, you must be a good human or an amazing human. So that, I suppose, could be our ultimate goal. So public relations, what is it? Well, it informs, it builds awareness, and it builds credibility. It informs the community about what your Rotary group is up to, what kinds of activities they have coming up, kind of events. And it builds awareness and credibility by drawing attention to the activities of your organization. You might think, public image, smublic image. Who cares? Why should we be concerned about public image? Well, I'm going to give you 4 reasons. Why is it important to have a positive public image? First reason is community support for your activities. All of your activities, fundraising activities that you have, you can't possibly do them without community. You need community support. Well, how do you get that support? As much as possible, you involve the community and make them feel like heroes, make them feel, and I know that as Rotarians, we feel pretty good about what we're doing and how we're helping people in our community or maybe people somewhere else in the world across the globe. How can we take how we feel and transfer that onto the community? How can we get our community to feel like they are the heroes in the story? Probably most of you are of the age that you would recognize Smokey. Smokey the Bear, when I was a kid, Smokey the Bear told me that only I could prevent forest fires. And I thought, wow, what an honor, what a hero that I must be, because only I can prevent forest fires. I'm going to take this very serious, this responsibility very serious. So think about that. What need are you filling, or is your club trying to fill? Is it only you can provide clean water for a village? And if that's how you feel as Rotarians, can we get that feeling from people in our community? Can we make them feel like they are doing something, not for Rotary Club, they're doing something for maybe a village in another part of the world, or helping a child graduate, or maybe a scholarship for one of your local kids, or maybe providing a safe place for our children to play. You know, the Rotary does, put some equipment in the playground. What need are you filling, and make your community members feel like they are the people filling that need, not Rotary filling that need? It's a tricky little way to do it. Second reason for having a positive public image is support from your sponsors. Let's face it, probably when we're running an activity, most of your dollars, most of your funding you got to have sponsors on board. You have to have your local businesses on board. And so it's really important that you make them feel like heroes, just like you're trying to make the community members feel like heroes. And depending on the community that you're living in, you're going to have to figure out how that goes. But it's really important that you make them feel like they're important. They're not helping Rotary, they're helping the Rotary cause, whatever it is that you're trying to do. Third reason is if you have a positive public image, it's motivating for your current members. They feel pretty good about themselves, and they're not afraid to let people in the community know that, hey, I'm a Rotary member. How can I help you? So it's motivating, very motivating for current members. The fourth reason is it's much easier to recruit new members. If people in your community equate Rotarian with good humans, they would want to be good humans. They take a look at something that Rotary has done. I know Kenora has got a splash park that they've built, and they've got the Rotary name splashed all over that splash park. And what a great thing that is. Now, I think if I was a new person moving into Kenora and I saw all of the things that Rotary's got their label on, I think I would want to be part of that organization. It seems like a pretty good organization to belong to. So in your club, who is responsible for public image? So think about it right now. Do you have somebody who is currently responsible for public image or public relations, if that's what you want to call it? Either term is acceptable. But in your club, who is responsible? Is it one person? Is it a group of people? Is it a committee? I would argue that it should be everyone. Everyone should be responsible to promote Rotary and its causes. And so I guess if I'm responsible and I'm the guy licking his fingers or touching the head of broccoli, I think I might be setting a bad example, but everyone is responsible for Rotary's image. Now, that doesn't mean that everyone is on the committee, because in your club, who is in charge of public image? Well, all I can say is it better be someone, because this is something you can't really leave to chance. You can't assume that we've got an event coming up and Ron always does the posters, so he'll do the posters. And, Bill always does the stuff on the website, and we'll see if somebody will contact the local newspaper. That's a hit and miss thing. They may or may not do that. So make sure someone is in charge. So the PR, the public relations, public image jobs includes things like keeping members informed, keeping the public informed, keeping local media informed. And depending on your community, you might have various local medias, maybe a number of newspapers, number of TV stations, radio stations, and of course, keeping a website and social media current. So that is a huge job, and it's too much for one person. So when I asked who in your club is responsible or in charge, if in your club you've got one person and they're responsible to do all of those things, and that person is burning out and doesn't want to do that next year, that's because to do it right, it's a huge job. Way too much for one person. However, the public image or public relations chair, the one person, their role would be to delegate the tasks, because someone needs to know what the left and the right hands are doing. So one person, maybe they've got in your committee, you've got somebody in charge of the web. You've got somebody else in charge of social media. Somebody else is doing all the desktop publishing for you. For example, creating your flyers, your pamphlets, all those desktop publishing kinds of needs. Maybe you've got somebody in charge of media releases to the paper, to radio stations, TV stations, whoever you have locally. And maybe you've got somebody who's in charge of if you've got a weekly slideshow for your members, maybe somebody in charge of that. If it's the same person in charge of everything, that person will be burnt out pretty quick. Now, to keep members informed, here's a couple of different ways you can keep members informed. And by the way, if you've got something from your club, a different way that you keep your members informed, please just mention it in the chat feature, and maybe put your email address or your name. I guess your name is there, but your email address in case somebody has a question about that. But the one thing I want to talk about keeping members informed is having a slideshow at your meeting. Now, when I joined this Rotary group in Neepawa, we didn't have this running. And I went to attend a meeting in Brandon, and Cheryl Winger and her group. So I think Cheryl's on the line here. They had a slideshow at their meeting. It showed their upcoming events, photos of past events, money raised from different events, donations, things like that. And I thought, what a great way to keep your members informed, because how can your members in charge of, because every member is in charge of public relations or public image. How can they talk about, hey, how much money did you raise at that fundraiser you had last week? If I have that, if that information is there for them to see every single week, and we run this slideshow continually during our meeting, and people's eyes wander to it, and they can see that, oh, look at that last fundraiser, we raised $1,200. And if they see that week after week, they're going to remember that, oh yeah, that fundraiser we had back in January, that raised $1,200. Or how much did we give to Shelter Box in this past year? And that figure is up there. If they see that week after week, it's going to get imprinted in their brain at some point in time, and they'll have that information there. So that was one valuable thing that I got from the Brandon group. Keeping the public informed, lots of ways to keep the public informed. A couple of the ways here that I want to emphasize is presentations to community groups. I'm not sure how many of you make presentations, how many clubs make presentations to outside community groups. And I think, and I'm not claiming that our club does a great job of this, but what a good idea to present to some other groups, like for example, the Chamber of Commerce, because let's face it, the Chamber of Commerce and our Rotary Club has a lot of things in common, a lot of the common goals. We presented to our firefighters group, but also other groups in town, like why not RCMP, doctors, or other groups that you can think of in town to
You have to
present.
talk ever so often?
I don't know. I don't like you.
Another thing is we have a local
that.
movie theater here where you can actually put up an ad if you wish, so that
Yep.
moviegoers can see what's upcoming for Rotary before the movie starts. And the last thing I want to talk about here is I was in Brandon at the arena. I don't know what it's called. They keep changing the name. But anyways, the big arena in Brandon, they have all sorts of glassed off areas, like trophy cabinets kind of things, with various things behind them. And one of the things that I saw when I went through, there was a Rotary exhibit. I thought, what a great idea. So many people go to that hockey arena. What a great idea to have Rotary have an exhibit there to keep the public informed on their activities. So congratulations, Brandon, for that super idea. I mean, let's face it, in the wintertime, our arenas are a hub especially in our small communities, and to have information there is a fantastic idea. One thing that we did in Neepawa to keep the public informed is our community has a registration night. That's a night where you can sign up your kids to be in swimming lessons and soccer and baseball and just gymnastics, all sorts of things like that. And it's free to have a table. And so what we did last time, before COVID, last time they had a community registration night, was we created a looping slideshow. We got a table, we created a looping slideshow and had a little video going. We used posters to draw people in. We had pamphlets and people answer questions. And our information on the slideshow focused on the human impact Rotary has in our community and also globally. And that, it's not like we got new members necessarily there, but it's always good to let the people know that we exist in our community. And in our community registration night, we have a number of different groups in our community. Rotary isn't the only service group. Rotary was the only service group at community registration night. So it's the one that people will notice. And of course, keeping the local media informed in all the ways that can happen. And when you do that, if you're sending out news releases and things like that, make sure, there's all of these different methods. And for all of this, you need to have a plan, a public image plan. If all you do is just wing it from event to event, probably you won't have a very effective plan. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Isn't that what the saying is? So do you have a public image plan? And then more importantly, once you've got your plan, probably it's going to cost you some money. Do you have a public image budget? Because some things are free. Everything in black here is free and can be free anyways. Facebook, social media, presenting to other groups like our Chamber of Commerce. That's a free kind of thing. There's often event community calendars, things like that. Those things are often free. The things in red here can be free, but they also can cost some money. For example, website. If you're for your particular Rotary website, it might cost you a couple of $1,000s a year, or a couple of $100 a year, or it might be free. Neepawa has a free site. We use Weebly, and it's free to. So that's not a cost for us. It doesn't need to go into our budget. But you'll probably need to print flyers. You may need to pay for radio ads. You may need to pay for brochure printing and things like that. But there's definitely things that are not free. And that's the things in green on this slide. And that's things like signage in your community, maybe ads in your theater, newspaper ads, things like that. I'm not sure how many people have standing displays out there, but that would have been really great when we had our community registration night to have, one of those 6-foot tall standing displays that said Rotary. That'd be a way to draw people over. Or maybe sandwich boards outside your events or somewhere in your community when your event is going on, just to remind the community that your event is happening tonight or tomorrow night or whatever, some those kinds of things. And none of those things are free, unless of course you've got a carpenter on board who's going to make all your sandwich boards for you. So make sure you've got a budget. This is an example of Neepawa. I mean, take a look at our signage before, kind of discussing what a poor public image message we were sending with that sign out on our highway compared to the after picture. Much better public image message. It's one of the things we've recently done. Of course, something like that costs money. You need to budget for something like that. Around Park Lake, which is a lake, it's Rotary Park, I suppose. We've got a number of benches and lookout stations, and our lookout stations and benches are in desperate need of stain last year, and our signage was questionable. It didn't look very good. So again, what kind of public image message are we sending people? Well, it seemed like we were sending out that Rotary once did something here, but they've neglected it for the last number of years. So we really wanted to get rid of that image, and we stained all of the benches, we stained all of the platforms, and we put new signage on it, so it looked a lot better. The one problem we had was the lake, Park Lake, our dam burst on Canada Day last summer, and in a matter of 10 minutes, our lake drained into a river. And so this is what our lookouts are looking at right now. But we hope to have a lake back there someday when the dam is fixed. So, but anyways, those kinds of things do cost some money. We saved a lot of money though by going to our local Home Hardware and asking if they would donate stain, and they did. They donated about 8 cans of stain, and so of course, Home Hardware got a lot of good publicity in our paper for that donation. Another thing that our club did was this year, a COVID year, it was decided that the community, the curling club, wanted to start stick curling, a stick curling league. But they knew that people didn't necessarily have sticks or wanted to pay for sticks just for an experimental kind of thing. And so they approached Rotary and asked Rotary, would we purchase sticks for their stick curling league? We were happy to do that, providing we could put a sticker on every one of the brooms, or I guess not a broom, on the sticks, and also have a storage rack with Rotary signage. And so we did that. They allowed us to do that. And anybody now that goes into our curling rink or other major center in the wintertime will see our bin there with the big Rotary logo on it, and also be able to use one of our sticks that has the Rotary logo on it as well. So little things you can do to inform the public that you exist and you're a vibrant group in your community. So it's important to make a plan. What are you going to do with public image? When are you going to do it? Where are you going to do it? And who exactly is going to do it? Because if you don't do the who part, it doesn't get done. And then of course, make a budget. I'm going to give you some top secret information right now. So Let's see how we're doing for time here. I think we're okay. Top secret information. Two tips I'm going to give you here. Okay, 2 secrets to positive public image in your community. 1, involve the community. That's it. It's that simple. That's one of the top things that you can do to improve your public image. Involve the community. So choose projects that fill the community need, like the funding that stick league curling. The community need was the curling club wants to start this new league. They have no equipment. Can you get involved in some way? And that was a perfect way. Involve local youth in any of your projects if you can, like a food drive or something like that. Whenever you can involve local youths, that also means you're reaching out to the parents. Display exhibits in your community, like the local arena, like Brandon did. What a great idea that was. So, and these are just some ideas, things you can do to involve the community. The most important thing is look for ways to involve your community. And the second secret is use effective messages. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of less effective and more effective messages here. A less effective message is something like Rotary wants to eradicate polio, or Rotary has a disaster relief project, or Rotary has a water and sanitation project. It's informative, but where's the personal story? How are people going to connect with that and want to give towards that? So more effective, you can start focusing on developing human interest or personal experience kinds of stories. So what about the story of someone in your community who experienced polio firsthand? Or the story of someone in your community who knows someone who's benefited from Shelter Box? In our community, we have a lot of Filipinos, and Shelter Box is active annually in the Philippines. They have lots of disasters there. For us to be able to find someone in our community who's knows someone in the Philippines who's benefited from Shelter Box would really be a feather in our cap. Or maybe a personal connection to water and sanitation project or something like that. Another less effective message could be, we're doing a fundraiser for the bird sanctuary. We need your money. Probably more effective if we talk about the value of our event and why people should care about it. So if we focus on a problem that needs to be resolved, something like trees have been lost, maybe through disease or a windstorm or something like that. Trees have been lost, birds and animals need shade. So you're raising money to build shelters. So how about stories of the animals or stories of the people who care for the animals? That's a much more effective message. And then, of course, tag on that, and we need your money message as well. Third example is Rotary is a great organization. Join us. So it's more effective. You can talk about the value that Rotary has achieved. For example, polio has almost been eliminated from the world because of a worldwide immunization plan, or kids have a safe place to cool down on a hot day because a splash park has been built. Or maybe local musicians now have a venue to hone their skills in front of a live audience because a bandstand has been built. And then you tell the story, you say, Rotary did that, and wouldn't you like to be a part of the group that did that? So much more effective way to get your message across. So I encourage you to tell your stories with lots of images to build your brand, lots of images, because words can get your message across. Washer and dryer, $300, $350 for a washer and dryer. That sounds like a good use of money. It's gently used, so it should be in pretty good condition. But a picture, of course, is worth 1,000 words. So not quite such a good deal now. So speaking of images, you can check and see, are you brand compliant? And in taking a look at our images around Neepawa, we are not brand compliant, but we're working towards that. So the logo changed a number of years ago now, and I can't remember how long ago that was, but it certainly doesn't look like the one on the right anymore, if it ever did. And it looks like the one on the left. So are you brand compliant? When we're replacing our signage around town, we want to be brand compliant as much as possible. Where do you find that? Well, it's in a couple of different places. If you go to brandcenter.rotary.org, you can find all about, find out lots of different information, but you have to be logged in. You have to have an account. You have to be logged in to get there. When you do log in and you do get there, this is what it looks like. your opening screen and take a look at, it's got this guidelines there. Those guidelines, if you click on that, it'll take you to the place you need to go to find out what colors can the Rotary logo be, because as well as the logo that I showed you, there are other colors that were used for different kinds of backgrounds. For example, on a very light background, you can use an all black Rotary and wheel, or an all white Rotary and wheel on a very dark background. So, things like that. There's also a section in there that has logos, and you can find their logos. You can find the official Rotary logo, plus all the colored logos that you're allowed to use. Plus, there's a place you can make your own logo with your own club name, and you can make it transparent, or if you wish as well. There's different ways to do that. And there's materials and ads and all sorts of interesting things in this place, but you have to be logged in. Unfortunately, I wish you didn't need to be, because unfortunately, that seems to be where most people stumble. They go here looking for this and say, oh, I got to be logged in. And they just quit right there. They don't bother creating an account or logging in or figuring out how to get in. They just give up. So it's unfortunate that in this place, you have to be logged in. The other place you can get some club resources is at our own district site, and that's our rotary5550.org. And if you go to the public image page, that's the site there, but I'll show you another way. And you'll find this. You'll find newsletters, our past issues of our newsletter, and a lot of things that I talk about, and a lot of things that I think are important for your public image person or committee or team in your Rotary Club. Information can be found here. To get to that from our district page, if you go under admin and click on public image, you will get to this page here. All right, so we're ready for breakout rooms. I think, yeah, I tried to make sure we finished in time to have some time for breakout rooms. So somebody else is going to sort of be in charge now in a minute and put you into breakout rooms. Just wanted to show you the two questions that you're going to have in your breakout room. So what I'm going to do is very shortly, I'm going to copy and paste these questions into the chat. And so you don't need to necessarily write them down. You can just reference them in the chat. And those questions will be there. These are the things I'd like you to discuss in the breakout rooms.